Hey ladies, it's YahYa again. Um, Coming back to just address the ladies. I actually have a showcase for my jewelry tomorrow, and it's my first showcase, and I have jitters, and I kind of just need to talk them out. But just to kind of go back to what we were talking about earlier, because I know that in our case we need a little bit more. Um, we need a little bit more than just be understanding of whatever their weaknesses are, because we have been through things with men, and we've put this wall up where it's like, oh, excuse my nails, I know they're a hot mess, but I'm gonna do them tonight. But we we put this wall up where it's like, um, you know what you won't deal with and what you won't do, and you know it's a wonderful thing to have standards. And I'm not saying lower your standards, but understand the difference between a standard. Excuse my husband, he's grilling. That's why he's walking around shirtless right now. But knowing the difference between a standard and a want. And knowing that sometimes you have to reconfigure, you have to shift things around a little bit, because we live in an age where our men have been oppressed and down pressed, and we've been raised up on this pedestal. A lot of us say, if I can do it, he can do it, and if I can, well, that's technically not the case, because we're quicker to get hired than they are, and we're quicker to be looked at in an academic environment than they are. A lot of our little boys are pushed to the side in school. So all throughout school age years, men are told that they're not good enough or they're not smart enough, and they're the ones who do make it. But for the most part, little black boys, I'll say, and Hispanic children as well, are not given the care that the girls are given. Girls are expected to succeed. So, and like I said, it's not to say you have to lower your standards, but you have to understand the difference between a want and a standard. Wanting a man with a nice car, I'll say, that's a want. That's not to say you shouldn't want your husband to eventually have a nice car, but if he doesn't come at you with a nice car, understand that th- what he has is not who he is. A man is not what he has. So if he doesn't have a Lexus or a Beamer or a Mercedes right then and there, be willing to accept him with what he comes with, and also be willing to work with him and push him and get him further. Help him to realize his goals and ambitions and his dreams so that he can get that Lexus, and then you can be, pushing a Lexus. But um, even as far as careers, not every man. And I say this because I saw this guy walking past the house earlier, and I said, there's a lot of women who would overlook a man like that who is walking home from work. Not, I'm not talking about Tyrone walking home from work. I'm talking about a David, a John walking home from work, takes care of his kids, may just need that extra push from a woman to get him to where he needs to go, to help him build his empire. That's why we're here, to help them. And, don't overlook a man. Be willing to understand where he is. And don't look down on him. Even if you do accept a man in that position, don't look down on him. See him as a king. I was saying earlier that I knew I was ready to be married. My husband didn't. And it didn't take very long for us to get married at all. And we speak on the law of attraction a lot, but it's true, it's real. I saw him as my husband. I didn't know why. I didn't know, how it would evolve into that. But when we started courting, I knew I don't want anybody else. I'm not dealing with anybody else, and this is it. And to take it back to standards, um, he was living with his mom at the time, and I had said I will never, no, ma'am, But he was living with his mother, but he was taking care of his mother, and their house is like two separate. Well, it's her house now, but their house is like two separate houses. So he had his space and she had her space, but she's an elderly woman and he was helping her. He wasn't living off of his mother. He was living with his mother. And even though that was something I said I wouldn't put up with, I wouldn't deal with, because I had my own house, well, I had my own apartment at the time, and I wanted someone who was on my level. That's not what was sent to me. And I had to understand that. I didn't have to, but if I hadn't, I wouldn't be where I am now. But to go back to what I was saying, he didn't see himself being married. He hadn't had any serious relationships. I mean, I maybe was his third girlfriend. Well, I wasn't his girlfriend because he asked me if I would be his girlfriend. I told him no. But I was his third dating situation. And he just, thought he would be a bachelor. He was 27 at the time, and he wasn't a guy to date around. He really wasn't. And I just saw him as my husband, and I would not let that vision go. He acted up. I didn't force it on him. I didn't force my vision on him, but I didn't let it go. When he acted up, when he needed space, they get their time when they start feeling you a little too much and it starts to scare him. He needed that time. I let him have his time. When he needed me as a friend, I was there as a friend, but I knew that I was going to marry him. And eventually, he started saying, "Well, why does she see this in me? Like, I don't even think that I'm fit for this. Why does she think I'm fit for this?" And he began to see himself out of a different perspective. He saw a greater man in himself because I saw a greater man in him. And that's what I'm saying. If this man wants to work, if he's not lazy, if he keeps his word, if he's honest, if he's loyal, if he's trustworthy, all that is pretty much the same thing. But y'all know, your intuition tells you when a man is a good man, and your intuition tells you when he's not. Even when your mind wants to make him a good man. So follow your intuition. When you know it's a good man, allow him to be a good man and encourage him and make him feel like he is the bee's knees for real. Just make him know that he runs the world. And I promise you, a good man will live up to that expectation. That's standards. That's standards, keeping your word. A man who will take you out on a $200 date, that's wonderful. That's a beautiful thing. But don't let that be your standard. That's a want. A man who will take you out on a $200 date and stand you up, where your standards was at. Your standard was the $200 date, instead of having your standard be someone who will keep their word, someone who can think creatively. Because what if he took you out on a wonderful date that didn't cost anything? What if he made you dinner and took you out on a picnic? Understand the difference between a standard and a want, and understand how to raise a man up to your standards. I know we're not their mothers and it's not our jobs to raise a man. That's not what I'm saying. If you have a guy in a man's body who is a little boy who wants you to be his mother, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a man who understands his role and position as a man and needs that woman's touch, that extra that only we can give, that push that only we can give, that will raise them past the level of just being an average man to being a king. A queen can do that. An extraordinary woman can do that. And you have to understand your value as a queen to be able to do that for your man, to to be able to help him in this society that tells him he is a felon, a deadbeat, no good, um, a womanizer, all these crazy things that media and society, all these labels that they've put on our wonderful, beautiful, royal men, we have to remind them of who they are. First, by reminding ourselves of who we are. And when you know, I'm a queen not gonna attract nothing but a king. A queen is not gonna attract a bum. A bum won't be attracted to a queen. So if that is the kind of man that you're attracting, and not to say something is wrong with you, but you may need to reevaluate what's going on within you so that you attract what you want to attract. And I know, trust me, because I used to attract the craziest, oh my God, I can't even begin to describe. I used to attract the craziest situations. You wouldn't understand. You might understand it because you may be in that kind of situation, but you would never guess it now. But I've had abusive relationship, you know, a liar, a cheater, all in one big ball, just everything. And I couldn't blame him. I couldn't. I wasn't doing those things, but I couldn't blame him. And still to this day, I can't because that's what I was attracting. And I had to clean myself out and raise myself up to attract something better. And that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you ladies is to understand the difference between your standards and your wants. And know that by expecting a man to meet your standards, he will then be able to meet your wants as well. They may not come right then and there in the beginning. And it gets difficult, but that's the test. That's the test that our grandparents and great grandparents went through when they had these 50 and 60-year relationships. They stood the tests of time. They didn't, have luxuries like we have today. If you have a man who is willing to pay the bills, take care of you and your children, make sure that you're fed, take care of him. Take care of him. Don't nag him. Don't fuss at him. Agree with him, even if you don't agree all the time. Just agree with him. If he's not making a decision that's going to hurt you or put your family in jeopardy or hurt himself, agree with him. And be loving and tender and gentle. And trust me, he will come back and tell you your idea and think that it was his. Just agree. Be agreeable. There's nothing more powerful than an agreeable woman. It's not always easy. It doesn't always feel fair. It doesn't always feel right. But be agreeable because they're only doing what they think is best. They're here to solve the problems. If we're always trying to be the problem solver, that takes their job away. So just, if you have all those things, someone who is a man, raise him up to be a king. Massage that ego, massage his masculinity and his greatness until it has no choice but to manifest on the outside. Just see him as Superman. See him as the king of the world and never lose that vision. Never lose that vision of him, even when he doesn't see it. And a good man will live up to your standard. And that's all I have to say today. I think I've done enough talking, and I'm ready to go ahead and put some work in on this jewelry that I got to showcase tomorrow. Wish me luck, guys. Wish me blessings. Send me positivity, and I'm sending y'all love and a lot of positivity too. Follow us on Instagram at The Inspired Life. He's New Orleans Renaissance. And together we're at _Amiri Zara. I'll put all the links in the description for you. Also, The Inspired Life on Twitter. and go to theinspiredlife.com. We'll be updating the blog. We're just trying to get through this showcase and a whole bunch of other little things we got going on. But thank y'all for sharing with us. Thank y'all for joining this journey with us. We are ready to walk with y'all. We so happy and excited about what's being built here, and we hope that y'all are too. So, with that being said, be great and be inspired and have a wonderful, wonderful night. Peace.